The rich man humiliated the waitress for touching his wife seconds later. Her ID stunned the room. The restaurant fell silent the moment the tray slipped from Alina Cordell's trembling hands. Glass shattered across the polished floor of Sunridge Bistro, a place known for elegance, perfect service, and an unspoken rule that mistakes were not forgiven easily. But the real silence came when the sharply dressed man at table 7, Leonard Raxford, one of the wealthiest real estate moguls in the city, rose from his chair with a glare that cut sharper than the shards beneath her feet. His voice thundered across the dining hall, accusing her of being careless for momentarily steadying his wife's shoulder when she stumbled reaching for her purse. Humiliation burned Alina's cheeks as every pair of eyes turned toward her, and in that heavy moment of shame, she wished only to disappear. What nobody expected, including her, was that a single small card tucked inside her apron pocket would soon change everything. If you believe in kindness and second chances, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Dreams Journal. Your support helps us bring more life-changing stories to you. Alina had been working double shifts for weeks. At 23, she carried burdens no one could see: rent overdue, her younger brother at home recovering from surgery, and her dream of finishing college drifting farther away each month. Yet she never complained. She arrived early, stayed late, and offered genuine kindness even when exhaustion tugged at her every step. That afternoon, the restaurant was bright with clear daytime light pouring through tall windows, illuminating polished tables and crisp white linens. Everything looked perfect, except Alina's heart, which felt heavy under the weight of invisible responsibilities. When Leonard erupted, accusing her of laying hands where she didn't belong, Alina froze. She had only touched his wife Myra Raxford, elegant and gentle because Myra had slipped on the corner of the rug. Alina steadied her without thinking, pure instinct, pure care. But Leonard's anger soared beyond reason, fueled by pride and a long-standing habit of believing the world should bend around him. He publicly berated her, calling her unprofessional and reckless, demanding she be removed from his table. Myra, embarrassed by her husband's harshness, quietly tried to calm him, but he wouldn't listen. Customers watched with discomfort. Some shook their heads, others whispered. Alina swallowed back the burn rising in her throat as her manager rushed over, apologizing repeatedly to Leonard and instructing Alina to take a break. With her eyes stinging, she stepped into the small staff hallway behind the kitchen, forcing herself to breathe. She had learned long ago that tears had to be saved for later. But destiny has strange timing, and sometimes the smallest details shift everything. While Alina wiped her palms, her ID badge slipped out from her apron, an ID she carried not for work, but for emergency identification. It wasn't just a regular card, it carried her full legal information, including her last name, which she rarely used publicly because it drew attention she never wanted. She glanced at the badge and sighed. She hoped nobody had seen it earlier. Minutes later, a soft voice approached. Myra stood in front of her, offering a warm but apologetic smile. Unlike her husband, Myra's presence radiated calmness. She thanked Alina for helping her, insisting that she had nearly fallen and that Alina had done nothing wrong. Alina tried to assure her she was fine, even though she wasn't. As Myra spoke, her gaze drifted downward to the badge in Alina's open hand. Her eyes widened slightly, and she hesitated, as though recognizing something important. With a gentle tone, Myra asked if Alina would follow her back to the dining room. Confused, but trusting her sincerity, Alina nodded. When they returned, Leonard was still fuming, tapping angrily on his phone as if preparing to lodge a complaint. Myra placed a hand on his arm and quietly said something that made him freeze. His gaze lifted to Alina with sudden shock, the arrogance draining from his face. Myra then turned to the watching room and spoke clearly, explaining that Alina Cordell was not just a waitress but the daughter of the late Adrian Cordell, the renowned businessman whose foundation funded hospitals, schools, and community centers across the region. Her father had been known as a visionary who transformed entire districts, including the one where Sunridge Bistro now stood. After his passing, legal disputes and distant relatives left Alina without access to the wealth he once controlled, yet she worked hard every day without revealing her background, choosing dignity over entitlement. The room buzzed with whispers. Leonard stared, stunned, the color draining from his expression. Myra explained that she recognized the Cordell family seal on Alina's ID, something few people would understand unless they were familiar with major philanthropic circles. She reminded Leonard that he himself once praised Adrian Cordell publicly for his generosity and humble nature. The fact that he had just humiliated Adrian's daughter over an innocent act left Leonard speechless. The silence hung thick for a moment before Leonard finally stepped forward, his voice trembling with embarrassment as he offered an apology, not the shallow kind whispered out of obligation, but a sincere acknowledgement of wrongdoing. He admitted he overreacted, allowed pride to cloud his judgment, and treated someone with kindness in her heart as though she were beneath him. Alina, though hurt, accepted his apology with grace, not because he was wealthy, but because forgiveness was something she valued deeply. From that moment, the atmosphere in the restaurant shifted. Staff members who once saw Alina only as a quiet worker now looked at her with admiration, but Alina remained the same, gentle, humble, dedicated. Myra later requested that Alina oversee their table personally, treating her with genuine respect. Before leaving, Myra quietly slipped Alina a business card, offering assistance not out of pity, but out of recognition of strength. She told her that people who carry burdens quietly often deserve the most support. As Alina watched the couple walk away, sunlight spilled gently through the windows, illuminating her face. Her life didn't magically transform in that instant, but something far more important happened. Her worth was finally seen, and her dignity restored. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Dreams Journal. Your support keeps these meaningful stories alive. Special request: comment kindness matters if you believe every act of compassion creates ripples we cannot imagine.